Oh shit. Here comes Family Combs. Here we go. We got Quincy, Justin, and everyone pulling up. These guys are like, all of these guys are like flies right here. That's so funny. Not the Hitler. This shit's getting crazy. Not the Diddler. Diddy. It's going good, it's going good. How about yourself? It's a good Friday, it's a good Friday. Look kinda hungry. But we gotta rock it out. We gotta rock out. Diddy's a monster. Diddy's a monster. Sean Diddler. How's your day going? These guys are funny. These guys are like flies. Everyone's just chilling right here. Damn. What the hell? You guys going off in the chat. Diddy's a monster. Diddy's a monster. Diddy's a monster. Diddy's a monster. Jimmy Chicasco. Waiting for your weekend? Ooh, you got anything planned? You got anything planned or what? Anything planned for the weekend? I wonder what is going on this weekend. I think just football games. What else is happening? What's let me see. What's on the schedule? Let's check out the calendar now that you're talking about the weekend. Let's put it right here. It's around the 22nd. 23rd. Am I doing anything? Nope. Nope. Yeah, nope. Probably not gonna do it. I'm probably gonna stream tomorrow. See me tomorrow again. I'm gonna stream tomorrow again. But what's tomorrow? Oh, Saturday. There's college football games tomorrow. There's college football games tomorrow. Let's check out what game. Look, lock up Trump. Told you it's Quincy. Told you. The Suns. Told you, it's the daughters, everybody. You got Family Combs. They should get locked up too. No, it's fine. Oh look, who's this? Oh, bro's just bro. You got Quincy Combs. You got everybody. You got the whole family. The whole fam bam. The whole fam bam's rocking for the Diddler. They said no Diddy. Where's Justin? Oh, there's Justin Combs. Where's Quincy? Oh, no, that was Quincy. Oh, here they are. The rest. Here they are. Here they are. Here they are. Boom. Oh, shit. They're like, Dad's about to come out. Papa's about to come out. Let's rock out. Let's pop out.
I don't know.
Oh, you got Mama Combs. Uh-oh. Mama Combs is in the building. Mama Combs is in the motherfucking building. Who's this? I don't know who this is. It looks like Auntie. Oh shit. The family of the freaks are here. Oh no. It's about to get down in there. See if academics is on, making jokes.
I wonder why YG wasn't.
Oh, here we go.
So, well, there's a lot of people that didn't make that still, right? Because we need to hear Snoop Dogg. But he might be saving. Again, I'm thinking of Gen X as a tape, right? I'm thinking of it like a mixtape. So I'm guessing he's gonna still have an album. Now, is the album gonna drop before the Super Bowl or after it? I would probably say after, right after, the immediate aftermath. And that one's gonna be really produced, like new wave of Kendrick, and I would imagine that we would see some of the things we ain't see on this one, right? A lot more. You know, a Kendrick album is a cohesive body of work. From if we could just go off history and experience from Kendrick, it's really cohesive. Okay, so seeing the intros and outros blended. As a matter of fact, you know who just hit me up? AD. Let me get AD on. Actually,
not AD. I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna mute it right here. I'm not trying to hear AD. Well, we'll play it, but I'm not trying to hear AD. Look, you got the family getting checked in, getting processed in. Death penalty. Album mid. Oh, Kendrick Lamar just dropped an album? Why never told me this? Nobody told me this. I don't know, Kendrick.
All right, we have another update from court. This is from the prosecutor. This is devastating evidence for the trial. This is, again, the 2016 video. It shows why he cannot be released on bail. He is violent and is committed to covering up his crimes. The evidence against him continues to mount. We've learned of punching and kicking employees, partners. So, again, that danger element to the bail analysis. I do have a question, Nima, for you. This is from Sean D. Kolb, again on YouTube. Any chance for a plea deal, and is there any chance the judge will accept it? I'll give my thoughts, but first your thoughts.
I don't think there's much of a chance at all, because for there to be a deal, it has to be something that Diddy would accept. And when you're talking about these types of crimes, I mean, the sentencing guidelines are through the roof. Now, maybe he'll get less than the decades in federal prison, I said, if and when he's convicted. But this is someone that doesn't want to be in bail for even the next several months until trial.
Bro, for sure didn't think he was going to go to jail.
Voluntarily, give up his empire and concede this. By the way, let's go back and say why I don't think there's going to be a deal. Let's talk about Cassie Ventura, who demanded $30 million reportedly not to file a lawsuit when the statute of limitations was coming up in New York State, where Jesse and Elizabeth are right now. He only wanted to pay her $10 million. For $20 million, his whole life fell apart. Do you think this is someone that's going to admit to anything, plead guilty in court?
I agree with you. I agree with you. That seems to me the only thing. What happens if they say, we have evidence to charge your family with obstruction or other counts?
I know, that's what I'm saying.
We will not do that if you decide to plead guilty.
Well, family can be an absolute game changer. I'm going to be honest. As a former federal prosecutor, I put more than 1,000 people in prison, and oftentimes, people would plead to exonerate their family members. So I think that could be a potential game changer. But as the current indictment is and state of the case with no other co-conspirators, I think that he's not going to take any deal.
And to be clear, there's no evidence, well, other than some of the assertions that they're putting forward in these letters about, using his family to, engage in improper conduct or contact outside of jail, or some of the allegations that we're seeing in the lawsuits. Nothing to suggest that his sons committed any of these crimes, or alleged crimes, I should say. I want to go to you, Elizabeth. We have a question from Susie Payne on YouTube. Will Diddy take the stand, and when will we see the court case? Well, presumably we would see it May 2025. We're not going to actually see it because no cameras, but presumably that's when it would start. Will Diddy take the stand?
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly his right to do that. I think that his defense team would be pretty worried about that because then again, he's going to be subject to cross-examination, and I think these prosecutors will go extremely hard. Show him all sorts of evidence, including the video and all sorts of probing questions.
Diddy.
I mean, this is a criminal case. This is not a civil lawsuit.
If he testifies, okay.
He took the stand in the 1999 nightclub shooting case, worked for him there, but kind of a different case here. Okay, so we have an update from court. The judge asks Mr. Agnifilo, this is Sean Combs' lawyer, Mr. Agnifilo. Mr. Agnifilo responds, I'm going to have Ms. Shapiro lead us off. This is the other defense counsel, and she responds, he was not dragging her back to the freak-off. The judge says, there was dragging. Shapiro says, I don't mean to. Judge says, there was kicking. And then Shapiro says, he has apologized. Your thoughts about what the judge did here?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that Diddy had said when Cassandra Ventura filed her lawsuit, immediately, obviously, he denied it and said this was an extortion attempt. She was just trying to pull money out of me. Once the video surfaced, he was sort of backed into a corner, into apologizing. So I think what the prosecution's truly trying to get at is this is someone who will deny until he's backed into a corner. And I think what the judge is trying to pull is what are the potential reasons he admitted to it and apologized to it. Personally, I believe because he had no other choice.
Got a question from Alawani on YouTube. Will there be cameras for the trial at least? Nope.
Crazy.
Dragging her back to the free. Very disappointing. No cameras in federal courthouses, let alone in New York, except maybe in exceptional circumstances. But no, there's going to be no cameras in the trial. That's why we're doing our best right now to give you a sense of what's happening in that courthouse, providing you live updates. And of course, Elizabeth Milner from Law and Crime in that courtroom. She will come out to us later and explain what she saw and heard. We have another update from court. The Judge Subramanian says, what about the 2018 text messages with victim one about violence? And we believe that victim one is possibly Cassandra Ventura. Combs' lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, responds, we have gathered more information about victim one, even yesterday. I don't want to quote it because it's under seal and should be, it was consensual. Okay, so going back to what I mentioned before, Nima, what's today, the 22nd? They filed this yesterday, the 21st. I, again, think that the defense's letter to the judge about this 20-minute video under seal, so what are they trying to say? That everything that happened between him and, if we presume victim one is Cassandra Ventura, was consensual, and therefore that could not be used by the prosecution as evidence that he is a danger to the public?
Jesse, victim one does appear to be Cassie Ventura, and I want to raise an important point that just happened there in court. And something look, defense lawyers do, they have to advocate for their clients, but I think it's shameful. You saw that Agnifilo didn't defend Diddy when it came to violence against a woman, so they put a female defense lawyer to do that. So that's pretty common in these types of cases. That's why Shapiro started speaking. But we're talking about text messages from Cassie to Diddy. And again, going back to her lawsuit, and I believe her, she said that she was forced to have sex with male prostitutes while Diddy watched, videotaped, and masturbated. So I believe what she's saying, and there's text messages that corroborate her accounts of what happened. She has said to Diddy that I'm a human being, I'm someone's daughter, you beat me, you kicked me. That's all in text messages, and I don't think the defense can deny that.
Oh yeah, that was provided by the prosecution as examples of what was happening, and then also he allegedly threatened to, this is what the prosecution says, exposed videos of the freak-offs if she didn't do what he wanted. Now, you're hearing the response from the defense. I've got a question from Ashley Glass on YouTube. Will the Law and Crime channel be covering the case when and if it happens next year? We will do our best, given the circumstances of no cameras in that courtroom. So again, Elizabeth, this is a really interesting back and forth. Is there a possibility the judge will not make a decision today, or after hearing the arguments from both sides, in briefs and today, I mean, it seems probably more likely than not we are going to get a decision on Diddy's bail.
I'd be really surprised if there wasn't a decision. I believe the two prior judges were able to make their decisions pretty quickly. And again, this is a case where time is of the essence. I think both prosecution and defense are going to want to push for a decision quickly for their own reasons. So I'd be very surprised if there wasn't a decision.
I don't think he's going to get out.
Judges are prone
He's
to
not
act.
getting out. He's not getting out.
Nima, I'm going to you. Judge, update from court. Judge Subramanian asks, I don't want to quote from them, but you know the ones I mean. Again, it seems to be this information under seal. And Mark Agnifilo says, we are proposing an independent security firm. There has been mutually regrettable physical conduct going both ways. There was violence by this other person and by Mr. Combs allegedly. You're also getting a preview, I think, Nima, of some of the defense strategy when this goes to trial.
Pretty shameful victim shaming here to allege that Cassie Ventura was the instigator or violence when we saw just brutality there, right? Her being dragged by her feet, her being kicked, the vase being thrown at her. Terrible, terrible stuff being said by the defense. But again, their job is to represent their clients, so that's what they're going to do. But to attack Cassie Ventura and say that she was the violent one or the instigator, pretty shameful in my opinion. It's always a tricky kind of avenue, especially if you cross-examine Cassandra Ventura, how you paint your victim or alleged victim. It's tough in these sexual assault cases, but unfortunately, you have his life on the line. This is what you might have to do. Whether I would turn off a jury or judge, we'll have to see. Comment from Angela Maria. Jesse is devastated about no cameras. You're right. I am devastated. I have no shame in saying that whatsoever. Talk to me about, it's funny. Elizabeth, talk to me about the idea here. What would happen if they let him out on bail and get pre-trial release, and then he ends up doing, what the prosecution says he does? He reaches out to witnesses again. He reaches out to victims. Oh, he's never getting out again. I imagine his bail will be revoked, but does that put the judge in kind of a bad position?
For sure.
I would imagine it would. Again, the judge is guided by 2 prior judges saying this is too much of a risk. We can't let this person out on bail. And if the judge takes a chance and says, let's try home confinement, and then that happens, I think that would be devastating. And that would also really affect the potential outcome of the trial. Again, a big part of the indictment focused on the element of control and power that he had. So if Diddy is able to exert that same level of control and power over witnesses to try to block potential testimony, that would be like devastating for the case.
And by the way, tell me if I'm totally crazy here, Nima, but his team was pushing for a trial to happen as soon as possible, presumably because he doesn't want to be in jail for the next 2 or 3 years. Risk it, go to trial. They might think they have a good defense. But if he's granted bail today, are we going to see a motion tomorrow, Monday? Let's postpone the trial. Hey, I'd like to be on home confinement for as long as possible before going to trial. Am I crazy to think that, Nima?
You're not crazy at all, Jesse. And I think the major motivating factor to push this case to trial so quickly is the fact that Diddy is in custody. And frankly, one of the reasons that people on the defense bar, they don't like their clients being in custody is not just preparing for trial, but oftentimes defendants will want to plead just to get the whole thing over with. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen in this case because there's so much time, but you're absolutely right. I can see this case being designated as complex, being kicked out a year or even longer if Diddy is surprisingly released.
And we have another update from court where it seems, I would say, Elizabeth, the defense is not necessarily denying that he's had communications, but they're saying you have to read what these communications are, because they just said, Sean Combs' lawyer, Ms. Shapiro, in the LaFontaine case from 2000, the defendant told someone to lie by phone from the MCC. This was another federal prison. This is actually where Jeffrey Epstein died. But it says, in the Gotti case from 1996, the head of the Gambino crime family, the witness received a kick in the ass. The government does not have that here. So they're trying to distinguish maybe what Sean Combs said. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's what the defense is going to try to push. They're going to say, he's entitled to work on his defense while he's in prison. There was no sort of attempt to obstruct justice or try to sway people. Obviously, that's what they're going to claim. I think it all depends on what's in those notes, which we're not going to know about for weeks on end, and what evidence the prosecution has in terms of what did he say. They're saying that they have intercepted recorded calls of him trying to instruct witnesses about what to say. So, I think it's a tough one.
All right, Nima, I want to get another question from you before I have to sign both of you off. We have 2 new guests that are coming in a minute. We'll take a quick break, but before we do, Nima, this is a question from Ivy D on YouTube. What is the prosecution's counter-argument against it being consensual behavior?
Well, it's going to be the testimony of the witnesses, right? They got to show that force, fraud, or coercion that separates consensual sexual activity between adults. It can be as freaky as the participants want. as long as it's consensual. So they need the testimony of the witnesses. But also, let's not forget, there's a lot of video evidence here, right? Diddy recorded these videos allegedly for his own sexual gratification, but also to maintain control over the victims. But I really think the game changer in this case, Jesse, is if there's a superseding indictment alleging the sex trafficking of minors. That takes consent out the window.
That changes the whole game. All right, so we're going to take a break. We're going to continue covering these updates from what's happening in that courtroom. Sean Combs' bail day. We'll see if Judge Subramanian is more receptive to these arguments. Will he grant Sean Combs bail? We'll wait and see. But Elizabeth Vulai, Nima Rahmani, thank you both so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. I'm going to take a quick break. I'll be right back after this, and we're going to bring on Bradford Cohen and Brian McMonagle, celebrity attorneys to the celebrities. We'll be back in a second.
There you go.
She says, in the LaFontaine case in 2000, the defendant told someone to lie by phone from the MCC. In the Gotti case from 1996, the head of the Gambino crime family, the witness received a kick in the ass. The government does not have that here. And I guess they were trying to say, how is he obstructing when they're not presenting any specific thing where Diddy's saying, contact this person, hit up this person, go do this with this person. That's just not a thing. And they then said, we cited Trump's case. Okay, the defendants have a greater right to you to speak than their lawyers. An Instagram post as well. I don't know if I can. Now they cited Trump's case.
What?
Diddy's lawyer in the bail appeal, or not bail appeal, but the bail application. I'm gonna tell you why. Because during the whole time, Trump was cussing out the judge and essentially cussing out the prosecutors, and they're using that to say, yeah, he's former president of the United States, but just like how he wasn't, reprimanded for doing such, probably because he was a former president at the time. Now we realize he's a future president.
Let me see.
But he wasn't reprimanded, and he's a normal citizen at the time. They're using that for Diddy to say, why are you going to reprimand Diddy? If Trump could cuss out the judge and cuss out the prosecutors, why can't Diddy lawyers say something about whatever, or why can't Diddy say whatever?
But I think it just leads me to a SpongeBob video.
Yeah. Okay, I don't know why they went to the outside
It just
view.
leads me to a SpongeBob video.
Let's see. Maybe they're going to go on a break. Who knows? All right. Give me a second. Okay, cool. Then Combs' lawyer then says this is covered by the First Amendment. Messages they point to are not instructions to lie. They're a barrage of negative media coverage. He has a right to respond to that. The judge says, why doesn't he respond through his counsel? And they're saying, we're happy to do that. Now, I'm on Diddy's side with this. If the government is leaking videos and putting up edited videos that's making you look crazy, and investigators historically, while the case was really bubbling, was saying, oh, yo, some of the tapes, this is on it, blah, 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 and they're making everybody feel you're guilty, why can't you put out positive stuff about yourself? Why can't you put out messages through, like, seeded in the press to say, yo, that attorney's lying on me, he's also an abuser, or, hey, they're playing dirty, you're playing dirty.
Is it the SpongeBob video?
Like, him responding to his lawyers makes him seem a little, we're not going to believe the lawyers. Lawyers getting paid. Okay. Yeah, so, all right, bet. Now, what's this? Not too sure why this is here.
But Elizabeth Vulai.
People, obviously that's what they're going to claim. I think it all depends on what's in those notes, which we're not going to know about for weeks on end, and what evidence the prosecution has in terms of what did he say. They're saying that they have intercepted recorded calls of him trying to instruct witnesses about what to say. So, I think it's a tough one.
All right, Nima, I want to get another question from you before I have to sign both of you off. We have two new guests that are coming in a minute. I will take a quick break, but before we do, Nima, this is a question from Ivy D on YouTube. What is the prosecution's counter argument against it being consensual behavior?
Well, it's going to be the testimony of the witnesses, right? They got to show that force, fraud, or coercion. That's what separates consensual sexual activity between adults. It can be as freaky as the participants want, as long as it's consensual. So they need the testimony of the witnesses. But also, let's not forget, there's a lot of video evidence here, right? Diddy recorded these videos allegedly for his own sexual gratification, but also to maintain control over the victims. But I really think the game changer in this case, Jesse, is if there's a superseding indictment alleging the sex trafficking of minors. That takes consent out the window.
That changes the whole game. All right, so we're going to take a break. We're going to continue covering these updates from what's happening in that courtroom.
So they're taking a break. The court proceeding doesn't seem like it's taking a break. Let's see if we have any other updates. Okay, cool. We do. So Combs' lawyer, Shapiro, said, but we're lawyers. It's not what we really do. Basically saying we don't play PR. And by the way, I could imagine Diddy probably told his lawyer, especially after his lawyer went on TMZ and was like, yo, maybe he got it from Walmart. And Walmart was like, nigga, we don't got that shit over here. Or Costco or wherever he said. And, he stopped speaking on behalf of Diddy. And I do think they should have a PR firm who's speaking on his behalf, but I guess not. It says, but we're lawyers and it's not what we do. Some of these recordings show that he's telling people some of these recordings show that he's telling people, just tell the truth. Talk with my lawyer. And the judge says, victim 3, you're saying the communications are fine? And Shapiro says, same on witness 1 and 2.
Yes.
Basically saying if Diddy ever had any communications with these witnesses while there was an investigation going on, or not witnesses, but victims. Oh, no, witnesses, actually. He never told him to lie. He said, tell the truth, and if anything, just speak to my lawyer. If you have a question you need from me, but just speak to my lawyer. But he never told him to lie. He never told him to say something they didn't want to say. Now, the government, I hope they come back with this, because the government claimed that Diddy was damn near almost proofreading what or called 128 times before Kalina did a statement, like basically almost saying, all right, you gonna post it this time. What are you gonna say? And let's see if they have proof of that. You get what I'm saying? This is outside the shit. Okay, cool. All right. So essentially they're saying they're not PR. We will see, man. Are they coming back? I think they're coming back here. All right. So what's the next topic? We're just covering this until we get to a resolution. It'll probably happen within like an hour or two, if you ask me. Here we go.
Combs case. Right now, this is a live look of the federal courthouse in downtown New York, where the issue of Sean Combs' bail is being discussed. Now, of course, as we know, that has been denied multiple times by other judges, but this is the first time the current judge overseeing this case, Judge Arun Subramanian, is actually deciding this issue. And we're seeing back and forths between the prosecution and the defense on this. I say seeing, there are no cameras in that courtroom. Our very own Elizabeth Milner is inside that courtroom. She's going to come out a little bit later, tell us what she saw, what she heard. But what we are doing right now is providing you live, real-time updates about what is happening in that courtroom. There is reporting coming back, so I want to get into it right now. Really interesting about what's happening. Let me bring in criminal defense attorneys Brian McMonigal and Bradford Cohen, attorneys to the stars. Judge says his communications from the MDC, the Metropolitan Detention Center. Shapiro says he says the prosecution is motivated by racism. So let me just be clear about this. There's a conversation. Attorney Shapiro says about what was he saying, maybe on telephone calls to other people while he's been locked up at the MDC. The other question is, was he orchestrating a social media campaign using his family to post things online that might potentially influence a jury? So keeping that in mind, Ms. Shapiro, again, Sean Combs' lawyer, says this is covered by the First Amendment. Messages they point to are not instructions to lie. There is a barrage of negative media coverage. He has a right to respond to that. The judge asks, why not through counsel? Shapiro says, we're happy to do that. Shapiro says, but we're lawyers. It's not really what we do. Some of these recordings shows that he's telling people, just tell the truth, talk with my lawyer. And then the judge says, victim 3, you're saying the communications are fine? And Shapiro says, yes, same on witness 1 and witness 2. The judge says, what about the communications that are missing? Agnifilo, this is Mark Agnifilo, this is Sean Combs' other lawyer, says, witness 1 reached out to Mr. Combs' counsel and asked us for a lawyer. We didn't do anything along those lines because it was an odd request. I don't know the factual answer. The judge responded, how do you know not now? How do you know, or how do you not know, maybe? Oh, it's how did you not know? That's exactly, how did you not know? And Sean Combs' other lawyer, Tenny Garrigo, says, there was a message from Mr. Combs to witness 1. I'll like to give it to you under seal. Prosecutor Foster may know it does not give rise to the level of obstruction. I do not have the actual message. Brian, I'll start with you. A lot of back and forth here. It's about whether or not his communications are a form of obstruction. It's about whether or not him even initiating a social media campaign would be to improperly influence a jury. This all goes to the issue, is he a danger
Justice for the
on the
baby oil
outside?
victims.
Is he flouting the rules inside? He cannot be released outside. What are you taking away from this back and forth I went through?
Well, the fact that they're debating it is healthy for him. It sounds like our judge here is trying to give a real fair analysis to all this. And this is a collision between First Amendment rights, as far as I'm concerned, and some of the requirements under bail, if there should be bail given. You're not supposed to have contact with witnesses. You're certainly not supposed to intimidate witnesses, but you're also able to defend yourself and marshal a defense and speak your mind as a defendant. And judges always have a very difficult time trying to balance those two constitutional issues. And I think this judge is struggling with it because this is a man who's on trial for his life. His liberty's been taken away from him, and he's fighting back. And that would be something that one would expect of someone who's been accused of heinous crimes. So I think that today is probably, as I think you've described it, really the first opportunity for there to be a healthy debate on why he should be released.
And Bradford, I want to give you an opportunity.
If he's
to
released,
respond
you'll
to
never
that
see
as
him
well. I do want to let you know there was another update where Ms. Garagos, who again is one of Sean Combs' attorneys, says, my client obeys me. For example, on victim 3, he stopped using ASAP and other phone lines. The messages with witness 1 were pre-arrest. He obeys us. He came to New York. In the Bureau of Prisons, when I tell him not to do something, he does it. So in other words, if you have concerns about him flouting the rules, he will listen to us. We'll tell him what to do. What do you think?
I think that's an argument that I've often made, and I think a lot of defense attorneys make, in terms of that our clients will listen to us if we tell them what to do and what not to do. And in certain circumstances, you have clients that have not been in a situation like this before, where they're in custody, where they are getting a barrage of allegations against them. Some may have some basis of truth, and some may not. And you've seen that over and over again in this case. There have been reports of different things that went on and different allegations against Sean Combs that they have then found out these are just rumors and they're not true. I think that it's not a bad thing when a PR company or even when a defendant takes it on himself to have family members talk about the good thing that he's done in the past and the charitable things that they've done in the past. When you have a case like this, where they are just every day, there's something that is coming out, something that is leaked by either the government or a party that's involved or someone that's interested in the case, where it is affecting, that could have affected a jury. I think that, that release of that Cassie tape, and I keep going back to that release of that Cassie tape, I think the tape was released because they knew that she was going to be somewhat blamed for the behavior that happened in the case. She would, where it is affecting, that could have affected a jury. I think that, that release of that Cassie tape, and I keep going back to that release of that Cassie tape, I think the tape was released because they knew that she was going to be somewhat blamed for the behavior that happened, that they would know that she would participate in these different things with different individuals, and they wanted to make sure that was cut off at the pass.
and essentially make her a victim and not a co-defendant. And I think that's why that tape was eventually leaked by whatever party that leaked that tape. A lot of not going back to that. No one's really discussed how that tape has come out, and I think it's an interesting thing. And especially when you have a judge that's interested in your story, and you have a prosecution that is interested in why.
You also have Diddy's lawyer who said, I submit that the charges in the Jeffries and Abercrombie case are worse than here. Oh, shit. They're saying he has worse charges than here. They're saying they allege an international sex trafficking business. They were R-worded and forced to engage in anal sex in Eastern District.
In my opinion, a $50 million bond is nothing to, sneeze about.
And to go into that about one of the areas where I think Judge Subramanian seems to be receptive. He actually told prosecutors early this week, be prepared to talk about this. It's coming up right now, and Brian, I'll ask you about this. So this, Ms. Shapiro, who's Sean Combs' lawyer, says, I submit the charges in the Jeffries Abercrombie case are worse than here. They allege an international sex trafficking business. They were raped and forced to engage, and I'm not going to say, but in a certain kind of sex acts. And by the way, the argument here is, and this is what the Judge Subramanian said, is distinguish prosecution why it is Sean Combs, after putting forward a bail package, as we said, $50 million, 24/7 private security firm, limited visitors, visitor logs, no internet use, no phone use. Why is he denied bond when you have Mike Jeffries, the former head of Abercrombie & Fitch, who was just arrested and charged with sex trafficking? Why is he out on $10 million bail? And by the way, the prosecution responded earlier, and they had a back and forth about this. He's 80 years old. Sean Combs is 55 years old. Sean Combs is charged with racketeering. He's not charged with racketeering. Sean Combs has alleged instances of prior violent behavior, not the instance with Mike Jeffries. But here you're seeing, Brian, where they're saying, we actually think the Jeffries case is worse. What do you make of that?
Well, it's brilliant. And I think that's the road they have to travel because it's precedent. You know, you're not supposed to have different rulings for like-minded cases. Disparity in treatment is always frowned upon in the federal courts. And here they have a significant public interest case where bail was set at $10 million by agreement. It wasn't debated over. The government agreed to it. Now we come over to Sean Puffy Combs' case, and they're objecting to 5 times that amount for someone who I don't believe has ever been convicted of a federal crime or a felony. I could be wrong about that. And they're putting restraints in place that make the previous bail package pale in comparison. They're right to make this argument. It's precedent. It's precedent within that jurisdiction. And I think the judge is going to look hard at it. You know, you've now got 2 rulings that have gone against him. So he's got to look at those rulings and those judges. But he's also got a situation where the government has agreed to bail in a situation that's, if it's not as bad, it's pretty darn close by accusation.
And look, I think they could, look, it's also a different court. This is a different, this is the Southern District of New York. That was the Eastern District of New York. But even you put that difference aside, this seems to be one of the more compelling arguments put forward by the defense. Latest from court right now. So the judge says, Mr. Agnifilo, where is the home he'd be in? So again, if you're talking about home confinement, Agnifilo says, I don't want to give the address, but it's on Star Island. There's a causeway. This is in Florida. This is Miami. There's a dock, but there would be no boat. The judge responds, that's not going to work. We're in New York. Agnifilo says, give me a moment. He comes back and he says, there is an apartment on the Upper East Side. We have one available, 3 bedrooms. The judge says, where are the 24/7 security going to be?
No.
Says, would you like to speak to him or me? It's Patriot Security. They merged with Crisis 24. So,
what the
Brian,
fuck?
Now, is this just the judge doing his full due diligence about understanding what bail would look like, or is this kind of potentially a sign of where he might be going? And by the way, we have another.
Come on, really?
That's crazy. 2 security guards in the apartment and 1 downstairs, so a total of 3. No access to phones or the internet except for calls with counsel arranged by the security personnel. This is more restrictive than in the MDC. Brian.
I think he's leaning toward letting him out. The response to the judge, by the way, about jurisdiction is crucial. Most courts, no matter where you are, if they're going to release you, they're going to release you to that district.
Looks like he's
so
coming out.
I was kind of surprised that the bail
come back
package
and forth
didn't
to court,
originally
especially for any emergency
provide for
hearing,
that, because
and that he's going to be within the jurisdiction of New York City. That if any of the agents associated with Eastern District, well, not Eastern District, Southern District, need to pick him up or whatever for any reason or check on him, they could easily have access. So they're not going to let him go to Florida, clearly, based on the judge's question about that. So they're saying there's an apartment on Upper East Side, and then they're asking about the security. Here's what he said. He says there'll be two.
Get this.
Dude, that's crazy.
The
Nah.
original bail package probably should have been something that they gave serious consideration to.
The judge just said, I suggest both parties put in letters by Monday at noon about what type of communications Mr. Combs may engage in. Monday at noon. So that's interesting to think about. What is he mean? He's going to be out or he's not going to be out? But his lawyer, Combs' lawyer, Tony Rico, said, we have to email for a week to get him a file folder. Then he said his adult children are willing to obey. He's not a lawless person. We spent hours at the MDC. Mr. Combs was writing down what I said. He's not out of control. DOJ is responsible for the MDC. Those phone calls from me all the time, and I hang up. Just your thoughts on what we're hearing here.
I go back to it. I think this judge is really giving serious consideration to allowing him out and trying to figure out a way to do so where the government's concerns are alleviated, to stop communications, to prevent the wrong kind of communications. A lot of the listeners that have asked questions are seeing, justice play out here, and what a difference a judge makes. There are a lot of judges I just listened to Bradford's arguments, all brilliant, that would listen to it and say, thank you very much, have a seat, denied. This is one of those judges that listens. This is one of those judges that balances. And what a difference a judge makes. And he could very well, if not today, Monday, make a decision that's favorable to Mr. Combs.
So, speaking of which, we have another update. Mr. Rico, again, his attorney says he has access to cell phones in the MDC, but not under our conditions. He fights, he kicks, he makes phone calls. This can be addressed. Thank you. Judge says we're going to get a decision out prompt next week. Bradford.
Yeah, I think that's
really carefully considering both arguments. As you said, right now the latest update is that he wants those letters Monday. We'll make a decision next week. This could possibly be Sean Combs' last weekend behind bars. We will see.
Not the Combs family walking down, ready to go home and get the freak on. Look at them. They're ready for the freak off Thanksgiving. But yeah, I didn't really say anything much after this clip, so I just wanted to say something. Look at Mama Combs ready to get her freak on when she gets home. But go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. We're on a grind to 100K. Appreciate you guys for subbing. Let's keep it going. I have a Discord now. Discord's in the bottom. In the link. Discord and Twitch. Go ahead and go follow up.
Bye, have a great time.